Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Seb. I'm a kindergarten teacher with 16 years experience, and I've decided to make a channel to talk about various topics in education, and then also to transition the channel into documenting my career break from teaching, but that's more for the topic of another video. So today I'm going to be talking about Generation Alpha, because from what I've seen on social media, traditional media, that people are not necessarily very positive about them. I trawled the internet, I found some claims. Let's see, do I agree with them? Do I partially agree, or do I disagree entirely with them? Now, these videos are pretty raw and unedited. I'm not going to stop if I make a mistake. I will just backtrack. I also have these really ugly looking notes because my attention is terrible and I would not be able to complete the video without them. So let's dive into the first claim. And that first claim that I found was that technology is ruining the attention span of Generation Alpha. So they've grown up with technology all their lives, be it tablets, smartphones, laptops, etc. And I can only imagine that as VR continues to evolve, they're going to grow up with that too. And more powerful smartphones, tablets, etc. But has it ruined their attention span? Now, I'm just going to go through my teaching experiences. Of course, everyone else might have a different experience. I would be very interested in the comments to know what your experience has been. But for me, has it ruined their attention span? No, I would disagree with this claim almost in its entirety, actually. So I'm going to go back to the pandemic. I remember I was teaching in Mongolia at the time, and we were called into a big meeting in our school auditorium, and we were told that the government had decided to close schools, and for what we thought would be a rather short period, we'd be teaching online. Little did we know we would be doing that for 2 years. Now, at first we were just simply uploading worksheets, which really was not very effective. There was no social interaction. But over time, we started to use more learning platforms, using Nearpod and Flipgrid, for example. I found that when using these, my students' attention span was very good. They were engaged, they were focused, and when we came back from teaching online, all those years later, it was a gradual reopening of schools. Attention span wasn't really a problem. I think one of the issues was they would get up and move around because I think they were probably just used to doing that, learning at home. But that was a very minor issue that corrected itself pretty quickly. So I don't think technology has affected their attention spans really at all. Not my experience anyway. Let's move on to claim 2, that academic performance is at an all-time low. Again, this is just my experience from my classes. I would not agree with this. I teach preschool, so 4 years old, going on 5 at the moment, and they are reading CBC words already, and English is not their first language. So in terms of academic performance, I would say they are outshining my millennial generation. I don't think I was even reading English, my own native language, at that age, never mind a second language. They're also good at math and art, so it's not just academic, they're also creative. So I don't think academic performance is at an all-time low at all, but I do think other subjects have kind of dropped off, which is a shame. And I would say that these are mostly things like sports and arts. They seem to have been put on the back burner, as it were, because schools or educational like committees maybe or something, or districts are chasing grades rather than looking at what individual students actually shine at. Because even if a student isn't academic, maybe they're a fantastic artist, they have a sport they really excel at, but at the moment it seems to be so data driven that these are not given really a chance to shine. As I said, that's a great shame. So no, I don't think academic performance is at an all-time low at all. I just think it's currently evolving, and I think they are going to be a very smart and a very literate generation, and probably multilingual too. Again, this is my experience from my classes. I work in an international school, quite a one where resources really aren't that hard to come by. But perhaps in the comments, people could put their input in. Do you think academic performance is at an all-time low? They're certainly doing better than when I was at school. Another claim, and this is probably the biggest one that I'm going to disagree with, that they don't have any social skills anymore. That's a very strong claim. So my class at the moment, they never actually experienced a lockdown. They're that young, but last year's class did. Now, like all children, they enjoy playing together and talking together. So my experience has been that they don't lack social skills. They show empathy and kindness and inclusiveness every day. And when I go back to my experience at school myself as a millennial, I don't see any big difference. They have an opportunity maybe to socialize online when they get older that I didn't. That has its pros, that has its cons, but they don't lack social skills. They can still interact on the playground. They can still interact with each other in the classroom. For me, this is not a big issue that I'm seeing. But again, I'm fascinated to hear from people. What is your experience? The next claim, that mental health is worse now. I partially agree with this, actually. I think we become more aware of it. I think we become more aware of things like autism and ADHD. And I actually think this is a good thing because we can provide support and guidance and empathy for these students and hopefully help them out on their learning journey, but also their life journey, so they grow up to be the very best version of themselves that they can be. I do find myself sometimes having to fight with current views, I suppose, on something that is kind of close to me, ADHD. I have this myself. And there are still a lot of schools that focus on this traditional kind of form of discipline that seems to be very much fear-based. I don't think this is a very effective way to manage a classroom, and I think as educators we need to adapt to generational changes. I think that's one of the joys of teaching, is that it's not stagnant. It's always changing. It's always progressing. And I think that's what makes it such a fascinating career to choose. So, with all these issues, what do we need to do as educators? I think we need to embrace technology, but I don't think we need to make the classrooms completely tech-based. I don't think every lesson, for example, needs to use technology in some ways. I think there needs to be a good balance of student-centered learning in groups and also the use of technology, which could, for example, really come into its own for homework. There are many apps that could support classroom learning. But I wouldn't rely too much on technology in classrooms, just because personally for me as an educator, I believe their time in the classroom is also one of socialization. They need to be playing in groups, they need to be working in groups together, and that's where they're going to learn the soft skills that they're definitely going to need. I think hands-on activities need to be an integral part combined with technology. I think there needs to be a greater awareness of mental health, and I think we need to look at more kinder ways of discipline and classroom management that are focused on understanding and empathy, rather than this kind of rather punitive, taking things away from students, taking stars away, punishing them. I don't find this is a very effective way to manage a class, as I mentioned. So, I will be fascinated to know, what issues do you have teaching Generation Alpha? Do you find them hard to teach? Do you find them no different to other generations? Please let me know in the comments, and I would also love to know other video ideas because that would be fascinating. So thank you. Please subscribe or don't subscribe. Up to you.